This is a deck that I've been stalling doing for so long, because even though I've been playing and testing and researching against this deck for years on end, I've never felt inclined to cover this deck because of how boring and weird and how much changes it went through. But today, after a year into DivineZ and some new support in DivineZ 5, today I have a reason to cover it. Near. Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Revolform here. Today I am back to cover Youthberk in DivineZ. Yes, at long last, a lot of people requested for it, and I'm finally doing it. Today we have Youthberk. Now, specifically, I am doing a deck focused around Full Blast because yes, I actually have it. So surprise for those of you who didn't know. But today I'm just going to be talking about a Full Blast deck. So if you are here looking for a Youthberk deck that doesn't play Full Blast, because there is a lot of conversation online about how Youthberk players particularly, don't like their own deck. Sure, I guess you can just leave this video. But if not, then welcome. Today I'm going to talk about Full Blast in DivineZ. Now, for those of you who don't know, Youthberk used to be a pretty bad deck in set 6. In fact, really shit deck in set 6. And in set 7, it was really good with its support. It became part of a triangle meta with Chronogen and Abisu. And then after that, it became really good again in set 13. It generally just did a really devastating job with the whole Full Blast support, and it became a really brainless turbo deck. But a year in, with zero support after that, yeah, the trail just went cold. But because DivineZ tends to give support to everybody, and I too have made it my mission to report on every deck that I feel is meaningful, yeah, we actually got support in set 5 for Youthberk, and that is in the form of Knight of Destruction Redirect. But we'll get into it in a bit. So today, this deck is going to be focused around Full Blast, and I'm going to talk about its relevance in this format, if it even does work. But I'm doing it in the form of a deck profile because, yeah, I just think this is worthwhile. In fact, I guess I may just upload this as a deck discussion even, because honestly, there's not really much to talk about this deck, but I'll get into it. So, for the right deck, the right deck, as you probably know, this is the original Grade 0 Youth, and of course we have Energy. Energy really, you don't really need to know about it that much. I'll put the link in the description for my DivineZ Explain video, but Energy generally is used for 2 cards only, and just know that 3 energy points equals to 1 advantage. That generally tends to help you a lot. Then we have, of course, we have the Grade 1 Youth. Grade 1 Youth, when he attacks, he gains 2000 power. It's kind of hilarious. And then the second skill is that, when rolled upon by now Ardent Light Youth, you can Soul Blast 1. Look at the top 3 cards in your deck. Choose a card with Youthberk in its name and add it to your hand, or you can choose a grade 2 or lower card from among them, call it the Varga Circle, and then put the rest at the bottom. So generally speaking, Youthberk tends to separate the cards like that, where the grade 2s and lower, he calls them as rearguards, and the grade 3s, he uses them as Revolforms, or his firepower. Okay, Knight of Unlike Youth. Now Unlike Youth, when it's rolled upon by a card that can Revol Dress, you can counter blast 1, choose a grade 2 or greater card from your drop zone, add it back to your hand. So it's enlarged golf. That's funny. The second skill is that when he attacks, you can Soul Blast 1 and then he did 20 gains 5. Generally speaking, you don't use this skill because you have way better options for your Soul Blast route. But, in case, it's good, this is, this Skyfall Arms, the edgy boy himself. So, haha. Skill very simple. At the end of battle, in attacks, you can choose a card with Revolform from among them, and via stand against Drive -2. So yeah, that's the Revolform skill. And then you can discard a card from your hand as your activated skill. Do the top 3 cards from your deck. Choose up to 1 Revolform from among them, add it to your hand, or you can choose a grade 2 or lower card from among them, call it the Varga Circle, and the rest go to the bottom. Youthberk, this skill, as you can tell, is just a really net 0 deck. It just goes through net 0, net 0, net 0. But it's that advantage and how you can pile on the effects. Generally, that's just how it plays. But as you all know, we are going to get into it very soon, and that is the grade 3s, because that's really how the deck is built around. The grade 3s, we obviously play 4 copies of Youthberk himself, because it's a Persona based deck per se, and you do actually want to see Persona, it helps you a lot. For Full Blast is the main win call of this deck, and then in following colors, we have blue for Gust, this is Gust, yeah, blue for Gust, red for Zets, and green for Tempest. Now, we are only playing this at 1-1-1 ratio in this deck. Now is possible now because of the new support. Okay, if you were playing this ratio before DivineZ or Omniscience Awakening, you are wrong. You are objectively wrong. Okay, I've seen people try 1-1-1. I've seen them win some bogus tournaments and claim, oh, this is the best way to play Youthberk. No, it's not, because it's really greedy. You're really gambling a lot of things going right, and the second one of them went to the damage zone, you lose the game. So really, it's just in practice and in principle, just really bad. Realistically, before set 5, you would play 1-1-2, but now you can actually go down to 1-1-1 because of the new support. I'll get into that. Now, in terms of the actual forms themselves, they're all pretty much garnets. That's a lie. Tempest is actually pretty good. So Gas is the one that is that, you can discard a card from your hand. This unit gains 10,000 power and +1 drive if your opponent's great shield greater. Again, it's just net 0 and it's an additional drive, but really, does that matter? Zest, he gains 15,000 power, so he's a fat ass boy. But then if you Persona Road, he gains a crit. I appreciate it, but what the hell? It's way too slow. And Tempest is the one that made Youthberk an actual meta threat back in 2022. When placed on a Vanguard circle, your whole front row gains 5, count +1, look at your top 2 cards from among them, choose up to one of your opponent's rear guard that has the same grade as the top 2 cards you revealed, board deck it, and add the 2 cards to your hand. So basically, it's Aura Geyser Dragon. Yep, it's Aura Geyser. And that makes it really good because it's a free +2 and a net -1 for the opponent's board, which is quite devastating. So Tempest is really the only one I can excuse you riding early into for turn 3. But, in this day and age, if Varga regress, nah, I wouldn't do that. But if you are one of those people that generally doesn't like Full Blast, this is probably the one Revolform you want to buy to prepare for a future Revolform that apparently doesn't need the rest. So, okay, I'm playing my part in this contribution for this discussion, so now you know. I've already covered these. Full Blast is the main star of the show, as you know, for this deck profile. Okay, Full Blast, when you Revel Dress, count +1, and he gains effects equal to the number of Revel forms you have and which ones you do. If you have all 3, the front row gains 15, so that's pretty nice. If you have Zest, you get a crit, so Zest is the red one. If you have Gust, he gains a drive. Alright, if you have Tempest, you choose one of your opponent's rear guards and put it at the bottom of your deck. So generally speaking, all 3 Revel forms are represented here and stated explicitly on the card, which means that in the future, should you remove one of these 3, you don't really get the full effects of Full Blast anymore. And then of course he has the typical Revel Dress skill, which is that any turn this unit attacks, you can write back to Youthberk, and then the rest is history. So again, this used to be a really powerful finisher card for Youthberk, but now the idea is you just want to turbo it as much as possible to try and kill people. And yeah, it's not bad. If going first you manage to trigger all of the effects, you generally have the game in the bag, but it's kind of difficult, but we'll try our best. Moving on to our grade 2s. We have, of course, 1 copy of Youth. He's from the right deck, you already know him. Then we play 4 copies of Fergosa. Fergosa is very important, you need to take note of her. And then 2 copies of the new Ruder. So, I've already gone through this, I won't talk about it anymore. Let's talk about Fergosa first. Fergosa is really simple. Fergosa's skill is just when this unit is placed on the Vanguard circle with Vanguard of Youth in its card name, Soul Blast 1. Search your deck or drop for up to 1 card Revolform in its card name, put it into the Soul. And if you search the deck, shuffle the deck. If your Soul has 3 or more cards with Revolforms in a different card names, Soul Blast 1 card without Revolform and draw. So basically, it turns 1 Soul into one of the different 3 colors. And if you happen to already achieve all 3 of them, you can Soul Blast a different card and draw a card. So it can be used as a turbo climber, it can be used as a +1 draw. It's generally nice to have. Fergosa's second skill is that when your Vanguard is placed by the Revel Dress ability, this unit gains 5. So it's also a 15k beater when you start to Revel Dress, which is of course wonderful. Fergosa is one of the cards you definitely hard mulligan in this deck. The other one is Corino, which you will be introduced to her shortly. Okay. Besides Fergosa though, we also have the new support, which is now Destruction Ruder. Ruder is the reason why you can now play one of each Garnet Revolform from now on. When this unit is discarded during your when this unit is discarded from your hand during your right or main phase, when you have a grade 2 or higher Vanguard of Youth in its card name, EB3, and call this card to Vanguard Circle. So it's a discard for it. That's really good for Youthberk. For Energy Blast, calling it back, that is quite insane. And that's why we are definitely playing this deck, because this card is one of the main highlights of Youthberk. In case you couldn't tell, there's a lot of discarding. Every turn you always have a discard 1, either for the right deck or for Skyfall Arms. So as long as you play around that, generally speaking, there's no reason to not play this card fodder. When this unit is placed on the rearguard circle, which can include by its own effect, you can choose up to one card of Revolform in its card name from your drop zone or face up damage and put it into the soul. If you put a card from your damage zone, you can put a top card of your deck into the damage zone, which basically means if you lose one of your 3 color garnets into the soul, you can now just put it into the soul. If you lose one to damage, you can now just move it to the soul. If there's one in your drop, you just slide it in. It's so easy. It's so easy. It's so good. It's such a great safety net for this deck to ensure that you can be more aggressive and greedy with your Revolforms. I just can't describe the impact this has. You only play 2 off because once you achieve all 3 Revolforms in the soul, generally speaking, she's not very good anymore. But if you are on the way up to climbing, this is definitely a card you want to play in case you be in those situations where, you know, you damage check it or you drop it. So that's really good in my opinion. Definitely this is a must pick up for Youthberk players if they're intending to play full blast. You know, it's great and it's near. It's near. So yeah, that's all I can say about it. The grade ones we play 2 copies of Topaz. Topaz is our crystal beast, as you already know. I won't talk much about it. It's generally you just use it because it's a quick board builder. If you remove 2 cards that came from your soul, you can look at the top 5 and call 1 card from among them, the same grade as your Vanguard less, or if not, it's a 20k shield. What's great about it is because you generally soul blast very fast with this deck, you will be able to remove your early game youths, and by doing so, you can actually get a free body on the board, which is nice. And of course, yeah, speaking of that, we have youth in the right deck. You already know him. We also have 4 perfect guards because we do want to stay alive. 4 copies of Corino, and then 4 copies of Radiant, and then 4 copies of Sequana. Okay, so I already covered Topaz, and I've already covered the perfect guards, so I won't be talking about them. So let's go through this one by one. Sequana is the best Youthberk support from year 1. Okay, if you have a Vanguard with Youthberk in his name against 2000 power, and when your Vanguard Revel dress is placed, move this unit to the soul, choose that Vanguard, and its drive is changed to 1. Why does that matter though? You always trigger Sequana first to change the Vanguard's drive to 1 after it got drive -2 from the Youthberk skill, so that either your Gust or your Full Blast can now get +1 drive, which means you change the drive from 0 to 1 to 2. Okay, so always use Sequana. Sequana is one of the fastest ways to get soul at a net 0. It's your best Vanguard booster because generally that's the attack pattern. And not only that, but you can also just use her for a quick body and just to put more pressure in terms of drives. It's a net 0. It really gives you both the killing bro it needs in terms of the drive check pressure. It's basically a pocket Majesty Dot Blaster. So yeah. Radiant is the festival generic, and while it has fallen out of favor with Luat players, it's never fallen out of favor for Youthberk and Minerva too. When placed in a Vanguard circle, if your Vanguard is the same grade as your opponent, you can look at the top card of your deck, either put it on top or put it into your soul, and this unit gains 2000 power. Sorry, put it on top. No, put it in the bottom. Hold on, let me read this again. 1 second. I realize my eyesight is not very good at 1 AM. Hold on. Let me get a look at him. Yes, Radiant's skill is that you look at you put it at the top or bottom and then against 2k. Okay? Yeah, I don't know why I read soul, my bad. So it's very simple. It's literally just a pocket get Wilius. So you can just top deck or board deck it and against 2k, but only if your Vanguard's the same grade. So it's only working going second, or if you're already both opponent grade 3s, okay? But if not, the more fun part with Radiant is the second skill. From the Vanguard circle or the drop zone, when your card is discarded during your turn, you can Energy Blast 3 and remove this card from the game, choose the card that was just discarded, add it back to your hand. Remember how I said Youthberk is very discard heavy? This card allows you to replay all your discarded targets once each. That's really good for this deck. That's probably why Radiant, I'm going to say it's a 4th now, but I've seen the argument for 2 to 3. But no matter how you cut it, this guy definitely has a space in Youthberk. And one of the most important discard targets that you will need to get acquainted with is Corino. Corino is a definite 4-off because she's the other Omni Trainer for all your colors. When this card is placed on the Vanguard circle from deck during your turn, or discarded from your hand during your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Youth in its card name, search your deck or drop for one card, Revolform its card name, reveal it, put it in your hand. If you search the deck, shuffle the deck. If you put a card in your hand, choose a card from your hand and move it to the soul. So you can either use this to directly put your Revolforms from your deck to your hand to your soul, or you can even use it to search out Full Blast and then put something else into your soul that you don't want, say a Stray Zest. This way, you can always ensure you can actually hard search your Full Blast, which means your turn 3 OTK is virtually guaranteed. The thing about Corono though is that she's relatively restricted. She can only use abilities if discarded during your turn or called from a deck. So you need to keep in mind your timings on when you can use Corono because it's not a simple place. And then for our grade zeros, obviously we have Youth, haha. It's just the little boy Youth, so not really much I want to talk about here. But it is the boy, and then we play 8 crits, obviously, because we just want to kill people as fast as we humanly can. We play 3 draw, because Youthberk is still a peace reliant deck, and the front row power, not too concerned. 4 heals, and of course we play Eidos Farah. Eidos Farah is our 9th crit. So yeah, and because it can touch the drop zone, Youthberk is a discard heavy deck, so it's very simple. Alright, and that will wrap up my Youthberk deck profile for DivineZ. Now, technically speaking though, while I chose to release this as a deck profile because I really wanted to talk about it in depth, I am willing to talk about this in terms of a deck discussion for a little bit. I do think Youthberk as a deck is pretty interesting right now, in the sense that it is really dedicated into the whole Full Blast turbo route, and I think that it's good for the deck, especially because you can actually follow a coherent design philosophy for a year. However though, the more we look at Youthberk, I'm starting to see the cracks about it if you don't actually manage to fulfill your Full Blast turbo. I can get why a lot of people want to play older style Youthberk or pray that a future Revolform allows them to pivot away from this very OTK style strategy, but I still think that this strategy right now has its merits, especially thanks to Rugios right now, because she allows you to actually just play 1/1/1 on each Revolform. I feel it makes the deck a lot more smoother and a lot more easier to play in my opinion, which is something that I definitely wouldn't be able to say without her. So definitely, I think Youthberk has what it takes to be playable. Once again, I definitely think it's worth considering at least a tier 2 to 3 level, but I'm not sure if this deck can become top tier or even just threaten the top 4 to 5 decks right now. I'm not too sure about that, but definitely I would say Youthberk has returned in terms of its time in the sun, so it's definitely not the worst deck to play right now. I mean, would you rather play Randomizer? Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care. Oh, and by the way, for all my other people who've been asking for Youthberk, I did the thing, breaking the wrong. Okay, funny. I said the thing. Bye bye.